Hi, it's Quaini here. Hello, my African family, people of African descent, Caribbean family, kings and queens of Nubia. I don't know if you've seen IShowSpeed. He's been going around Africa making videos, and he was in Egypt, and he went to the museum in Egypt. He was taken to the Cairo Museum, and he was seeing all the statues of ancient Egyptian statues, yeah, kings, pharaohs, and he pointed and he said, "What's happened to the noses? Why are all the noses missing?" And the lady taking him around, she said, "Oh, it was due to erosion, the nose being the weakest part, eroded first. Yet the rest of the statue's still intact." And then she said, and sometimes the kings broke their noses to show their strength. Basically, they're falling over themselves, not to say, oh, because they were Africans and we had to destroy the noses so people wouldn't see they're Africans. The Arabs claim the Egyptians to be them, even though they invaded Egypt, yeah, in the 7th century. Images like this, they love to show because that points to them like, oh, look, this woman is like us. This proves that the Egyptians were not black people. These are the images they keep showing. Let me explain something about what you're seeing here. Now, a lot of times when Egyptian men or black Egyptian men married women from the Levant or Arab women, yeah, well, not Arab, Hittites women, yeah, women from Anatolia. They were doing it for diplomatic reasons. Let me read this to you. As Egypt strives to maintain excellent relations with its neighbors, states a trade in princesses is growing throughout the Near East. Princesses of the royal lines are exchanged between Egypt and other countries in return for gold, which enables the Kassite princes of Babylon to finance their prestigious building programs. The princesses, often infants, are much sought after on the basis of exchange. The alliance between the courts of Babylon and Thebes has been reinforced by successive marriages occurring with such regularity that can only be regarded as cynical, though pragmatic form of diplomacy. You understand what you're reading there? The Egyptians used to send their princesses, their royal ladies, to their enemies to keep peace, and their enemies would send their royal ladies to the Egyptians. You understand? So you had the Hittites, you had the Kassites, the Babylonians, sending their women to marry Egyptian men, to marry black Egyptian men. And you had the Egyptians sending their black women to marry Hittites or Kassites or Babylonians. A form of diplomacy. But of course, when you go in museums and you see all these light Arab-looking women, Turkish, Levant, Canaanite, Palestinian, all that kind of looking woman, and you see them in those Egyptian paintings and sculptures, it's never explained to you that a lot of this cross-pollination was diplomatic reasons. How it is brought to us is the Egyptians were a mixed people, and look, this is the proof. Yeah. Now, of course, there was people coming down from the Levant, coming down from Canaan into Egypt, who were not black, and they were becoming Egyptians, mixing with Egyptians, marrying, having children. Yes. So when you look at Egypt, the north of the country, as it is now, which is Arab, and the south is mostly black. And it was like that also in ancient times. Of course, the diplomacy eventually stopped because there would be invasion after attack after attack after attack from outsiders trying to get the riches of Egypt. The Assyrians, the Persians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, attack after attack after attack until that final Arab attack, and Egypt was finally conquered once and for all. But 3,000 years ago, or more than 3,000 years ago, the Egyptians were dealing with diplomacy and hoping that them sending their women for marriage and taking their enemies' women in return would keep the peace. So now you know how women like this woman here became wives of Egyptians.